Hi everybody, it's Randy again. Today I'm going to do a little cast iron cooking. I almost cook exclusively on cast iron. And today we're going to make a gumbo. It has andouille sausage and some shrimp and crab in it also. So make yourself a cup of coffee, which is what I'm going to do, and we'll get started. Alright, the first thing I'm going to start getting ready is I'm going to make a little shrimp stock for this gumbo here. Whatever seafood, depending on where you are, what you can find, you can put crab. Depends on where you are, where your location is, what you can find. So, alright, while our stock is working, we're going to get started on making our roux. I save bacon grease in old jars. Sometimes it gets a little solidified. You can just put it in some hot water like this, and it'll come back right nice, nice liquid for you. Alright, our stock is starting to simmer over here. I'm going to throw in a few bay leaves. About 3 or 4 of them. I'm also going to add a little sherry wine. Just a touch. Okay, I started warming up our pan here. Nice medium heat. Cast iron is really nice for making a roux because it's just so heavyweight and thick. You could use a lower heat, which is what you want, because this is going to take a while to get to the right color. So you want it to be nice and even, and you have to constantly stir it. So we're going to add our cup of bacon grease. And to that bacon grease, I'm going to also add a cup of flour, all-purpose flour. And we'll just start combining that together. This will foam up a little bit. You definitely want to keep an eye on this. When you're making your roux, it's not the time to go check your Facebook. So we're going to get this nice and smooth, constantly stir it, and when it starts to come up to temperature, you'll start to see it to bubble, and that's when you're going to want to lower the heat. Okay, now as you can see here, it's really starting to get bubbly and foaming up. So we're going to adjust the heat and put it on very, very low. And stir. So important to keep stirring this. Alright, now like I said, this is going to take quite a while, so I'll get back to you when it starts to get to the color of what we're looking for. Okay, I think I'm going to add just a touch more flour. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. Usually a 1-to-1 ratio. I mean, this is personal preference also. I want it to be enough to thicken up my whole pot that I'm going to use. I'm going to use a Dutch oven to make this, so I think just a touch more. That should do it. Now a blonde roux like this, that's what they call the lighter roux, is like a blonde roux. This is good to use for like a bechamel sauce or Alfredo or something like that. But when you're doing this Louisiana cooking or southern cooking, the darker color gives it like almost a nutty flavor. And it just doesn't come out the same unless you let this really cook down. Okay, I don't know if you could really see good on camera, but it's definitely darkened up quite a bit. At this point, I usually like to let it sit a few seconds, then I stir, then I'll let it sit, then I'll stir. Not for long, you don't want it to burn. You gotta keep an eye on it. But it'll start to darken up even more for you. So usually just about that long. Just a few minutes. Then you stir again. Don't let it burn. Very important. Because this has been on at least a half hour now. You do not want to burn it, and then you just wasted all your time. Do not skimp on this step either. It's very important to let this roux get to the right color. It almost has a smell of like popcorn almost. It gives it a nice nutty flavor. Alright, I'm happy with this color that we achieved, so I'll turn the heat off. But it's important to keep stirring this because with cast iron, the pan still remains hot and it will continue to cook. So you want to keep stirring this for another good 10 minutes or so while it cools down enough. Yeah, now you can see it's just gorgeous, gorgeous golden brown. Really nice. This is a very important step to make gumbo. Alright, off camera, I chopped up some Trinity here, which is celery, peppers, and onions. I'm going to chop up this sausage, andouille sausage. I have Johnsonville here, which sometimes you can find fresh depending on where you are. Same thing with okra. I had to get frozen okra. My store didn't have fresh. For the crab meat, I'm going to use bumblebee. You could use lump crab meat. You could use blue crabs. Fresher seafood, the better. You can even use imitation. I wouldn't let it stop you from making gumbo, though. I'm going to go ahead and chop this up, and we're going to start in our Dutch oven. Alright, now that's done. We're going to move back over to the stove. Bring it up just a little bit. Alright, I started warming up my Dutch oven, and I'm going to start to sweat all the vegetables. I like to use wooden spoons with my cast iron. This one I carved myself out of black walnut. So we're just going to let these start to sweat down a little bit. Yeah, about 10 minutes or so. For the okra here, I just laid it out on a sheet tray. I'm going to drizzle it with a little olive oil, and I'm going to bake it in the oven for a little while, just so it's not slimy when we go to put it in the gumbo. Alright, the vegetables sweated up pretty nice. I'm going to add the sausage now. This was 14 ounces, which is about a pound. Then we're getting it ready, and we're going to strain the stock right into there. I just have a handy screen that goes right on top. And there we go. Alright, now I'm going to bring the heat up a little bit, and I'm going to let this start to simmer. I want this to be a little warm before I add the roux. You don't want any clumps. You want to add the roux slowly, and it's a hot liquid, and it shouldn't clump up on you. Alright guys, and as you can see, this is even darkened even further still, just from sitting. Just from sitting in the pan. Alright, now we have it simmering here. This is about the time I like to add some seasonings. I haven't added any salt on purpose to the stock or anything yet. I'm going to add a Swanson Seafood Flavor Boost packet. This is just concentrated seafood broth. Okay. We're going to add a little Cajun seasoning. Sometimes you want to taste this first, because sometimes this andouille sausage could be spicy all by itself. But I like to add a little Cajun. You can add, here I have, I'm going to put a little Emeralds. That's what I have. You can use Paul Prudhomme. You could use a restaurant Cajun, whatever you have. Add about a tablespoon of that. Alright, next we're going to put a little gumbo filet. About a tablespoon, tablespoon and a half. I'm going to add a dash of Worcestershire, however you say it. Alright. Give that a stir. I like to add a lot of my ingredients, and then towards the end, if I need salt, I'll put it either in beef bowling cube or, sea salt. Waiting for the okra to finish in the oven. When that's done, we'll add that. We're also going to add, I'm going to add a can of stewed tomatoes. Just check and make sure. I usually just mush them up with my hands if they're a little big. That's why you want to make sure you have room in your pot too when you add the stock. Because when you add all the shrimp and the seafood at the end, the seafood always goes in towards the end. That doesn't take long to cook. And the roux, you don't want to overflow. Okay. So we're going to let this cook down just a little bit more. Let the vegetables start getting soft. And we're going to taste it and see if it needs anything else. Any garlic powder, whatever. Alright, we're going to give her a taste here. See where we're at. Okay. Definitely spicy enough. I think I'm going to add one more seafood packet. And just a touch more of this gumbo filet. Also going to add just a little garlic powder. Alright. Definitely spicy from the sausage. Usually andouille, when you boil it like this, it definitely gives off some heat. Oh, that's good. Alright. Alright, I also think I'm adding just a touch of sugar. Sweeten. A little sweetness. Just a little bit. Alright, our okra is finished. I'm going to add that to the pot. You can definitely tell when you stir it. When you first put this in the oven, you could see just the sliminess. And then as you keep stirring and checking it, you could tell when it just goes away for you. Okay, I'm going to add that in. Okay, now I'm going to get ready to add the roux. Give it one little stir first, get it all off the bottom of the pan. Okay, and like I said with this before, just go slow. Add a little at a time. Stir it in. Then you can let it come back up to temperature and add more. Already it's starting to thicken up nice. You don't have to add the whole roux if you don't need it. Just keep an eye, check on the thickness. Just give it a minute here to get back up to temperature. The way, if you do it this way, then it does not get lumpy on you. More. Oh, that's looking great. I'd say that's just about perfect. Alright. Now we're going to get ready. We're going to add some of the seafood here. Shrimps. All the crab meat. I'm also going to put a little hot sauce. A couple dabs will do you. People can always add stuff like this after the fact, depending on how spicy they want. I like to cook for a variety of people. You know, some people like spicy, some don't. So it's good to, you know, salt also. You can always add it after. Okay, and then we're going to give that about 10-15 minutes or so. And in the meantime, we're going to work on a side of rice to serve it over. Now, for some people, rice can be a little tricky to cook. Basically, it's a 2-to-1 ratio normally. 2 parts water to 1 part rice. I have a cup and a half of rice in here, so I'm going to add 3 cups of water. Okay, and I'm not going to add any other flavoring. This is going to be plain white rice because we have enough flavoring with the gumbo. But if you wanted to add flavoring, now would be the time. And you're going to want to bring this up to a boil. And once it boils, you're going to reduce the heat to very low till the simmers. And you're going to cover it. Sometimes you can leave the cover a little cocked. Let a little air escape so it don't overflow on you. And then you want to stir it every so often until all the water absorbs. Then you could shut it off the heat and then put the lid on and let it really soften up for you. Alright, now we got it about up to a boil. Turn down the heat, just to a simmer. Like I said, you can cock it just a little bit. See? That's it. Give it about 15 minutes. Now I'm just going to go over a little bit how I clean my cast iron. I use a plastic scrubber. And this is actually from carving a pumpkin. It's just a plastic scraper. If anything's really stuck on, that'll work. Just hot water, scrub it out, wipe it down with a paper towel, and then I usually oil it up, maybe some olive oil non-stick spray, and she's good to go. Alright, now I'm going to do a little plating for you guys. A little bit of rice. I'm just going to ladle that gumbo right on top. Then I like to top it with a little green onion and some parsley. There you go. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen, guys. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something. I'm planning on doing a whole series of cast iron cooking. Some indoors, some outdoors, some on the grill, some on the fire. So don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And if you want, hit the little bell for the notification to get notified for new videos. Thank you.